You ever get the feeling where you just need to walk until the world makes sense again? That's what brought me here, to a quiet trail on Ansokhornet in Norway, looking for a bit of peace on the climb. There's a special kind of clarity that you can only find by putting one foot in front of the other, with nothing but a mountain for company. This is the story of my solo hike to that summit, starting from a small parking lot at Ansok in Liabygda, Stordal, and the incredible calm I found overlooking the Norwegian fjords. This wasn't about conquering a mountain, it was about reconnecting with something real along the way. The trip to Ansokhornet doesn't start down by the fjord, but halfway up the mountain. Most guides point you to a parking lot near an old factory below, but with a little digging, I found a different way. It was a narrow gravel road, a track that made you dread meeting oncoming traffic, since there was barely any room to pass. The air is different up here, the sound of the valleys just disappear, and all you hear is the rustle of leaves and the wind. The trailhead isn't some grand entrance, it's just a simple path that vanishes into the trees. This higher start doesn't just shave off some distance, it changes the whole feel of the hike from the very first step. You start out already wrapped in a mountain's quiet, with the world below already feeling miles away. The first stretch of the trail is all about the forest. It's a path packed of dirt and tangled roots, twisting under a green canopy. The light filters down in shifting patterns, and the air is cool and smells like damp earth and pine. For me, this is often the most meditative part of the hike. The summit is still out of sight, so there's nothing to do but walk and breathe. My pack felt heavy, like it always does at the beginning. You're aware of every piece of gear, the water, the extra layer you brought just in case. It's a nice reminder that you're prepared. As I kept walking, my thoughts finally started to settle. The to-do list and the noise of everyday life began to fade, replaced by simple questions. Is that rock stable? Which way does the trail marker point? Is that a bird or just the wind? Before long, the path starts to climb. It's not aggressive, just a steady, constant incline. You leave the thick forest and come out onto a mountain pasture around an area called Ansokhornet. This is where the world really begins to open up. The trees thin out, and through the gaps I got my first proper look at the fjord below. Just a sliver of shocking blue. It's a little preview of the main event, enough to get you excited for what's coming. The terrain gets more rugged here, and the path isn't always obvious. You have to start paying attention. I remember stopping at one point, not because I was tired, but just to feel that burn in my legs and the air filling my lungs. This is what I came for, that feeling of effort, of earning the view. It's a simple, honest trade with the landscape. There's a moment in every hike when you see the summit and your whole mindset shifts. After climbing through the rocky pasture, the final ridge of Ansokhornet finally appears. It looked serious, a rocky spine cutting against the sky. The wind really picked up here. It wasn't a harsh wind, but a constant, powerful force coming right off the fjord. It felt like the mountain itself was breathing. This is the final push. The trail becomes less of a path and more a suggestion. You start following the charns, those little stacks of rock left by other hikers. Each one feels like a small note of encouragement. You're going the right way. Keep going. My focus became completely narrow. All those lingering thoughts from the world below were just gone, scrubbed away by the wind and the effort. It was just me, the rock under my boot, and the rhythm of my own breathing. I found a steady pace that felt good, something I could keep up. I wasn't racing to the top, I was climbing. There's a difference. Racing is all about the finish line. Climbing is about the experience itself. The last few meters are a scramble over bare rock, and the view is hidden from you until the very last second. And then you step onto the summit. And there it is. The world just falls away at your feet. Standing at 888 meters isn't the highest I've ever been. But the view from Ansokhornet is something else. It's a pure, uninterrupted 360-degree panorama. The Storfjord stretches out in both directions, a huge, deep blue artery cutting through the landscape. Mountains rise up on all sides, a beautiful, chaotic jumble of peaks and ridges, with local names like Julegrøeggene. For that little pocket of time, this whole incredible world was mine. This is the payoff, this quiet moment, where the mental chatter finally stops and all you feel is gratitude. This is the clarity I was looking for. The world from up here finally made sense again. The way down is always a different kind of journey. Your legs are a bit tired, but your spirits are high. The summit isn't a goal anymore, it's a memory you get to carry with you. Every step down gives you a new angle of the views you just worked so hard for. The fjord, which was a distant target on the way up, is now a constant companion on the way down, its water shimmering in the light. I took my time. Coming down on steep rocky paths takes just as much focus as going up, maybe even more. You have to be sure about your footing, but the mental work is different. It's less about pushing forward and more about moving carefully and deliberately. When I got back into the forest, the familiar smell of pine and dirt felt like coming home. The trees created a gentle transition back to the lower world. The silence here was softer and more enclosed than the wind-swept silence on the summit. By the time I made it back to the car, my body was tired, but my mind was completely reset. A hike like this acts as a filter. It strips away everything that's not essential and leaves you with a deep sense of peace and accomplishment. This hike was a powerful reminder of why I love these solo journeys. It's in the silence that you can finally hear yourself think. It's in the physical challenge that you find your mental strength. And it's in these huge landscapes that you find a perspective that's impossible to get anywhere else. Have you ever had an experience like this on a trail? A moment where everything just clicked? I'd love to read about it in the comments. Tell me about the hike that reset your world. For anyone thinking about a hike like this, my advice is simple. Be prepared, but not overthink it. Pick a trail that calls to you, even if it isn't the most famous one. Sometimes the quieter paths have the biggest rewards. The solitude that you can find on a place like Ansokhornet is a real gift. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed coming along, a like and subscribe would be amazing. It helps more people find these stories and maybe even inspire them to find a trail of their own. Until the next adventure, stay curious and keep climbing.